No, not this game. Have an anime intro, guys. Well, wasn't that just a fine and dandy flashy intro there, eh guys? Though, personally speaking, I think X4, X5, and Classic 8 had the better anime intros. Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Mega Man X3. The last X game on the Super Nintendo. However, it's also the first one on the original PlayStation. That's what those fancy-dancy little anime cutscenes are from, actually. I am playing the Super Nintendo version, but I'll be splicing in the anime cutscenes from the PlayStation version, which is also the PC version. And if you're wondering what else the PlayStation version changed, it remixed all the music. Some songs got better, some got worse because of that. And they also changed some of the sound effects around weirdly, like X's Buster now sounds like a laser gun instead of just a little pew-pew. And, it's alright, I suppose. I'm only playing the Super Nintendo version for ease of play and recording, really. And I know I'm entirely ignoring the little intro sequence going on behind my audio, but there's a reason for that. This is the longest intro sequence in the X series. It's gonna go until around the 6-minute, 20-second mark by the looks of my timeline, so if you want to skip ahead, go right ahead. So, essentially to sum up the storyline, people and Reploids, after the first two games, were sick of Mavericks. And, conveniently enough, this guy called Dr. Doppler came along with this neurocomputer that essentially cured them. And it worked. Until a few months later, when they all started rioting again. And, wouldn't you know it, Dr. Doppler was seen as the villain behind all this. And, well, as the X Collection manual, and I think the actual Super Nintendo manual puts, the neurocomputer was nothing but a placebo. And since the Mavericks were rioting, they sent X and Zero out to stop them. And bring Doppler to justice, obviously. That's pretty much how to sum it up quickly. And I'll admit, I actually really like these sprites right here. Actually, X3 does have some really cool looking stuff in it, and some fairly good ideas, just that it's not executed well. In fact, I'll say this right now, this is my least favorite X game on the Super Nintendo. Not my least favorite X game of all. My least favorite Mega Man X game to this day is still X7, because while this game's kind of bland, X7 is just boring. Mind you, it has the guy who voiced Barry Burton in it, so at least has that going for it. Though I will say this is not my least favorite Super Nintendo game. That goes to Batman Forever. Anyway, while X and Zero were out, the Mavericks decided to attack our base. That's actually a surprisingly decent tactic to lure out all the best warriors and didn't just go right after their base. What show used that? I recall that being used in quite a few shows, though. Can this intro end now? I should mention, if you're playing the PlayStation version, this intro sequence here won't play until after the title screen passes by, because it has to play the anime intro, obviously. I like how I'm pointing at the timeline on my screen, just that you guys can't see that. Anyway, with that, finally we're at the title screen. Welcome, everyone, to Let's Play Mega Man X Cubed! Oh, God. And the game's gonna start off with a cutscene, so enjoy. It's sad when the Super Nintendo video quality is better than the PlayStation FMV. X, I'll clear out the enemies out here. You go ahead and deal with the ones inside. Alrighty, Zero, to this day I'm still convinced you're just taking a smoke. And now, about 7 minutes in, we're finally starting the actual gameplay. X controls exactly the same as he did in X2. He starts off with a dash and everything. However, his health bar is kinda tiny. Well, mind you, it's the exact same size it was when you started X1 or X2, but the enemies just do so much more damage. Early game, I will say, is probably the hardest part of this game, but we'll get more into that later. But I will say, right now, what we're listening to is one of the only, 4 tracks I can remember off the top of my head from this game, as the soundtrack's kind of sucky. Oh, hello, person. Mac, where have you been? Oh God, Mac, why? We totally loved you. You're far too trusting, X. I'm now a member of Doppler's army. You'll make a fine addition to our forces. Once you have been shown the true destiny of the Reploid race. Well, that's the end of Let's Play Mega Man X3, guys. It's a rather short game. Easy, too. Not sure how it leads into X4, but the ending cutscene will probably show us something about that, right? But, what? What's going on? For the first time in the series, we are actually able to play Zero, and he's great! He's essentially stronger than X is even fully powered. His Buster's stronger, he just does more damage, and he can take more, too. He has the pink charge that X had in X1 and 2, which allows him to do the double buster shots that X2 had. However, he can also charge up to green, which allows him to use his Z-Saber, actually. And the Z-Saber is powerful. Like, it'll kill pretty much anything you can use it against in one shot. However, his hitbox is a bit bigger, and you can't use him all the time. I'll get into how you use him next part. And it's time up for us to go against Mac. I wish I had not missed with the Z-Saber right there, because, it would have one-shotted Mac here. And we have to shoot down X because, I don't know why, actually. You okay, X? Thanks, Zero. I'm okay. I'll check around headquarters again. Be on your guard, X. Alrighty, Zero, see ya. I actually think he's only in maybe 2 more cutscenes, and then you never actually have to see him again. Ah, well. And this is just the boss checkpoint room. And it's actually time for the boss of the intro stage. 10 minutes in. And, as usual for a Mega Man X intro boss, Vile from X1 aside, he is huge, and he's pathetically easy. He only has one attack as far as I'm aware, and that's to throw his little mace arms at you, and they'll crack the ground, but that doesn't actually do anything as far as I'm aware, it just makes that one spot lower. Charge shots are the best way to go against him. I think 8 of them will take him out, actually. And also, fun fact, some of you might know that there was actually going to be a Mega Man MMO, at least in Korea. And this guy was actually supposed to be a boss in that, as was Sting Chameleon from X1. However, like all things Mega Man that aren't fan hacks, it got cancelled. Thanks, Capcom. Thanks. I love you. No, I don't. At least not anymore. But yeah, the intro boss and intro stage are really easy. It's the very long intro sequence that just gets in your way of it. Looks like we've swept most of them out of here. I'll go back and check on headquarters. Call me if you need me. See you later, X. Alrighty. And well, first off, passwords. Memorize them. Memorize them well. Rather abruptly, we are thrown into our 8 Mavericks. And, honestly, we're starting with this guy, as most people do. Now, what we're looking at right here is the boss intro they were given in the Super Nintendo version. However, in the PlayStation version, they were given fancy schmancy little anime intro cutscenes, so I'm going to be splicing them in from here on instead of this. Hey, wait a second. Go back there. I noticed something in that cutscene. Blizzard Buffalo. Great spell check in there, Capcom. Absolutely fantastic. However, I will say, the boss intros in the PlayStation version actually have one of my favorite versions of the little dun 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 dun, because it's actually really cool sounding. Actually, I will give it this. Certain songs aside, the PlayStation X games have some really good soundtracks. Especially X5. Anyway, Blizzard Buffalo stage is the generic ice stage. However, the ice physics are really wonky. And it's also one of the only musical tracks that doesn't have an abused electric guitar in it. This room right here, there's one of these in every single one of the 8 stages. However, until you've beaten your second Maverick, their use isn't apparent, so we'll just wait until explain that until then. If you had actually beaten another Maverick, this place would have actually had lights going on in it, but it's kind of pointless. Because X3 does bring back that little thing that X1 had where if you beat certain Mavericks first, certain things in the stages will change. But I'm not going to be taking too much use of that. And this storm, as far as I'm aware, this thing does actually impede your movement, but I never had a problem with it. The tornado will send you upwards, though. Now, returning from X1 are power-ups, and you can get 2 of them in this stage. The first of which is up here, and it's the first Dr. Light capsule. Enter this capsule, X. Take this leg upgrade. The upgrade will enhance your mobility in the air. You'll be able to dash left, right, or even straight up into the air. I'll give X3 this. It has probably the best leg parts in the series. Because, as Light just mentioned, we can now do an air dash not only left and right, but also straight up. This is actually an ability that wouldn't reappear until X6, I believe, with the blade armor. But we don't talk about X6 often. And now that we actually have the leg parts, we can actually immediately go and get the next power-up in this stage. The sub-tanks, which like in X1 and 2, are pretty much your energy storage things. So when your health is full and you get energy, they fill up slightly. And there it is right there. Heart containers are also back, or heart tanks are back, which increase your health, but I can't get the one in this stage yet. And I also did a small bit of life energy farming, but I actually lost health over that, so yeah, that's pretty meh. But it's time for Blizzard Buffalo, apparently. Seriously, Capcom, what the hell was with that? And Blizzard Buffalo here has probably the easiest pattern out of all of them. He only has 4 attacks, one of them is moving, which is what he's doing right now. When he's moving, he has a chance of making his ears turn into little golden horns, and he'll dash towards you. If he grabs you with that, he'll throw you at the nearest wall. He has this little triad ice throwing thing, which turns into spikes, which are not instant kill, actually. Jesus, look how much health he took off me. And then he also has this one other attack where he sends pretty much a beam of ice at you. I think it works similarly to the way that Blizzak's Dragdrops ice beam worked in X0, 1, and 3, where it just slows you down. But as you can see, the bosses in this game do a lot of damage. In fact, everything kills you in this game. The early game damage outputs are ridiculous. However, Blizzak Blizzard Buffalo is slow enough to the point where I recommend taking him on first. Abusable pattern, and he's honestly just overall easy. However, he does hurt, as you can see. But Blizzard Buffalo himself and his stage aren't too bad in general. In fact, they are probably the easiest ice stage in the series. Well, actually, Chill Penguin's still easier. That's damn sad, Blizzard Buffalo. Also, notice how he moved left and right a lot? You're going to be seeing that quite a bit throughout the adventure. But for beating Blizzard Buffalo, we get a new ability. I think it's called the Frost Spike. It's either that or the Frost Shield. And we also get the return of the CX-4 chip, as you can plainly see. What this one does is that it moves forward, like you're seeing right now, and if it hits a wall, or if you press the button, again I believe, it'll split off into spikes and hit the ground, where it can then be stepped on by enemies. Pretty situational, but it has its uses. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 2 we'll be moving after our next Maverick, which is the one in the top right there. See you guys then.